Hi everyone, welcome back to DGMZ, Diwan-e-Ghalib, Meri Zubani. To all our returning viewers, we are very happy you could join us again. And to the new viewers, we are delighted you discovered the podcast and decided to tune in for the first time. Now, if you were with me in the previous episode, you know that currently we are going through Ghazal 27 from Diwan-e-Ghalib, Dard Minnat-Kash-e-Dawaa na hua. We've already covered 8 couplets. They're posted on the channel. Today we are going to get into the 9th couplet. As always, I'm going to read the couplet first and then we'll start getting into the keywords, concepts and finally the DGMZ impression of the couplet. So this is how it goes. रहज़नी है कि दिल सितानी है, रहज़नी है कि दिल सितानी है, लेके दिल दिल सिता रवाना हुआ. Let's do a quick approximate translation. रहज़नी है कि दिल सितानी है. Is it highway robbery or is it stealing of heart? लेके दिल दिल सिता रवाना हुआ. Having taken the heart, the robber or the heart thief quickly took off. So that is the approximate translation. Let's start getting into the keywords. First word, rahzani. Now rahzani basically means highway robbery. In Arabic, rahzan refers to a robber or a bandit, right? Essentially someone who attacks and loots and robs people who are traveling, usually travelers by road. Now, this word is spelled both as rahzan, as it is in a couplet today. It is also spelled as rahzan, wherein Rah means, of course, path. There are other variations like Rahzano, which will mean multiple robbers, right? इस पे जलील मनिकपुरी का ये शेर, आँख रहज़न नहीं तो फिर क्या है, आँख रहज़न नहीं तो फिर क्या है, लूट लेती है काफिला दिल का. Beautiful couplet, just capturing that visual, right? That is very core to our couplet today. So the approximate translation is, if these eyes are not highway robbers, then what are these? After all, these eyes loot and rob the caravans of heart. And of course, the poet is referring to the eyes of the beloved, comparing them to two highway robbers. मिर्ज़ा गालिब का ये शेर, साकी बा जलवा दुश्मने ईमानो आगाही, साकी बा जलवा दुश्मने ईमानो आगाही, मुतरी बा नगमा रहज़ने तमकीनो होश है. Beautiful couplet. The approximate translation is, the cupbearer or the person, usually many times the beloved, serving wine, when they appear in all their glory, right, they are actually enemies of your faith and your intelligence. When they come in all their glory to serve you wine, they are almost enemies of your faith and intelligence. And then musicians with their melody are again highway robbers who will rob you of your dignity and ability for judgment. So just very beautifully illustrated the impact of wine being served to you, music being played for you, how they rob you of your senses, of your alertness, of your awareness, how they intoxicate you, right? जान निसार अख्तर का ये शेर, इश्क रहज़न ना सही, इश्क के हाथों फिर भी, इश्क रहज़न ना सही, इश्क के हाथों फिर भी, हमने लुटी हुई देखी हैं बरातें अक्सर. So the approximate translation is, Fine, if you do not want to call love the highway robber, we still have seen multiple times many a wedding processions being looted, plundered, robbed by ishq or love. Mirza Ghalib का ही शेर, ना लुटा दिन को तो कब रात को यूं बेखबर सोता, ना लुटा दिन को तो कब रात को यूं बेखबर सोता, रहा खटका न चोरी का दुआ देता हूँ रहज़न को. So the approximate translation is that had I not been looted and robbed in daylight, how could I have ever been able to sleep so soundly at night? Because I am now looted and totally plundered and ravaged, I have no more fear of being robbed. I have been already robbed of everything I have, so there is no fear of being robbed anymore that exists, and for that I say thank you to my robber. And again, Ghalib Sher needs a full-fledged impression, but the references to the beloved, right? That beloved, now that you have robbed me of my heart, my most precious thing, in full daylight, you have created a situation where I now sleep very soundly at night, because I know the most precious thing that I had is already gone. So for that I thank you. So that is the word Rahzan and some couplets to bring out the essence of that word. One thing to be noted, and we thought it was worth mentioning, is that Rahzan, especially in Urdu poetry but also in common vocabulary, usually coexists many a time with its antonym or opposite word, which is Rahbar. And probably, at least at DGMC, we were more aware of Rahbar than Rahzan. But the fact of the matter is that Rahbar and Rahzan kind of coexist many a times, forming a very common phrase, similar to things like day and night, black and white, right? We use these phrases just to talk about two very opposite things. So in Urdu poetry, we found multiple examples of this type of usage. Rahbar, like we said, is opposite to Rahzan. Rahbar would be a pathfinder, somebody who will lead you, guide you, especially through paths which are unknown, dangerous, right? Totally opposite to Rahzan, who is going to loot you and plunder you and rob you when you are going on journeys, when you are traveling unknown long paths, right? इस पर देखिए, फना निज़ामी कानपुर का ये शेर, इस तरह रहबर ने लूटा कारवां, ए फना रहज़न को भी सदमा हुआ. The approximate translation is, my well-wisher, my pathfinder, my path guide, my rahbar looted and plundered and robbed me in such a way that even the highway robber was shocked, was saddened, was grieved. Such was the cruelty with which my own pathfinder, who was supposed to guide me and lead me on my journey, on my path, looted me. मजरू सुल्तानपुरी का ये शेर, मजरू काफिले के मेरे दास्तां है ये, मजरू काफिले के मेरे दास्तां ये है, रहबर ने मिल के लूट लिया राहज़न के साथ. So the approximate translation is Majru, and the poet is referring to himself. This is the story of my caravan, of my group that I traveled with, that my path guide or my pathfinder, along with the highway robber, conspired and looted me. So my own well-wishers, my own guides conspired with the robbers, and together they looted my caravan. Anjuman सॉरी, अंजुम रहबर का ये शेर। जिंदगी तो किसी रहजन की तरह थी अंजुम, जिंदगी तो किसी रहजन की तरह थी अंजुम, मौत रहबर की तरह राह दिखाने आई। Beautiful couplet. The approximate translation is, life has always behaved with me like a highway robber. What a beautiful expression. Life has always behaved with me like a highway robber, wherein it has always robbed me, looted me, plundered me. However, death, on the other hand, has arrived as a rahbar, as a path guide, as somebody who is going to guide me out of this life which has always looted me and plundered me. So that takes care of the word rahzan. Moving on to Sitaani. Sitaani is taking, sometimes taking forcefully, right? Almost like seizing. अब सितानी पे मिर्ज़ा गालिब का ये शेर। दशनाए गमज़ा जां सिता नाव के नाज बेपनाह, दशनाए गमज़ा जां सिता नाव के नाज बेपनाह, तेरा ही अक्स रुख सही सामने तेरे आए क्यों। Beautiful couplet. The approximate translation is, your dagger-like glances and your graces, your gestures, which are almost like arrows, these things are all life-threatening. These things are all life-threatening. These things can prove fatal. Therefore, even if it is your own reflection, why would it dare to come and stand in front of you? The threat is so high, right, that even your own reflection why should it come and stand in front of you and take the risk of being killed? Just the ability, right, just the ability of the beloved to be life-threatening by mere glances and gestures and graces that she has. इस्माइल मेरठी का ये शेर। ये जो इश्क के जां सिता हैं, ये जो बहरे बेकरार हैं, ना सुना कोई सफीना कभी इससे पार होता। So the approximate translation is, this love which steals away your life, जां सिता, right? And this ocean that has no banks, no boundaries. We have never heard any boat successfully make it through to the other side in this ocean of love. And now the last word, Rawanaa. Rawanaa, and in our couplet today, this is a technical thing. If you're a DGMZ viewer, you know that we are not technically very adept at the Urdu language and construction of ghazals, but it does seem that Ghalib did something very unique here, where though we are reading it as Rawanaa, Ghalib has used Rawa as the rhyme and Na as the refrain in this couplet, just creating that unique scenario of words and word phrase created by those words. But the way we read it in the couplet, the way we are going to understand and include it in our impression is Rawanaa. Rawanaa is something that is on its way, something that is dispatched, many a time something that has departed, right? It is a word which is usually used, or one of its uses is to talk about motion, right? इस पे हैदर अली जाफरी का ये शेर, आए ठहरे और रवाना हो गए, आए ठहरे और रवाना हो गए, जिंदगी क्या है सफ़र की बात है. Beautiful couplet. The approximate translation is, we came, we stayed, and then we departed. What is life if not a journey? ब्यूटिफुल कपलेट. शहरियार का ये शेर, सुनते हैं सभी गौर से आवाज़े जरस को, सुनते हैं सभी गौर से आवाज़े जरस को, मंजिल की तरफ कोई रवाना नहीं होता. द अप्रॉक्सीमेट ट्रांसलेशन इज एवरीबडी is very intent, is very focused on listening to the sound of bells of a caravan, but nobody starts moving towards the destination. So everybody is very intently listening to the cues for the journey, but nobody actually initiates the journey towards the destination. And then this last one, अमीन शेख का ये शेर, रवाना कर तो रहा है वो हंसते हंसते मुझे, रवाना कर तो रहा है वो हंसते हंसते मुझे, मैं जानता हूँ मेरे बाद खूब रोएगा. Approximate translation is, today they are bidding me goodbye. Today they are sending me off, or they are sending me away with lot of smiles, with lot of joy, right? They are saying bye to me with a lot of joy. But I know that once I am gone, they are going to weep and cry after me. All right, so that takes care of all the key words, Rahzan and Sita, and what was the last one? Rawanaa. Okay, let's start getting into our impression. So the first line, रहज़नी है के दिल-सितानी है. Is this highway robbery, or is this stealing of the heart? Ghalib kickstarts the first line with an interesting word, Rahzani. Like I said in the keywords, this is the first time we would be encountering this word at DGMC. And this is indeed a keyword for the contrast Ghalib will create in today's couplet. So, let's spend a few minutes on understanding the essence of this word, Rahzani. As we covered in the keywords, Rahzani is highway robbery. So what exactly is this concept of highway robbery? Let's try and explore that together. Now, one of the most famous historical highway robbers was famously known as the highwayman. Highwayman was a robber who stole from travelers. This type of thief would usually travel and rob by horses as compared to a footpad. Footpad was a thief that traveled and robbed on foot. Mounted highwaymen were widely considered to be socially superior to footpads. Such criminals operated until the mid or late 19th century. These type of robbers specialized in an especially violent form of stealing. There is a long history of treating highway robbers as heroes. They were admired by many as bold men who confronted their victims face to face and were ready to fight for what they wanted. There were phrases famously attributed to these highwaymen. Phrases like, stand and deliver, stand and deliver your purse, stand and deliver your money or your life. English highwaymen often laid in wait on the main roads radiating from London. They usually chose lonely areas of heathland or woodland. Hounslow Heath was a favorite haunt. During the late 17th and early 18th centuries, highwaymen in Hyde Park were sufficiently common for King William III to have the route between St. James Palace and Kensington Palace, lit at night with oil lamps as a precaution against these robbers. This made it the first artificially lit highway in Britain. The penalty for robbery with violence was hanging, and most notorious English highwaymen ended on the gallows. Highwaymen who went to the gallows laughing and joking, or at least showing no fear, are said to have been admired by many of the people who came to watch. Now, that is the highwaymen and how it evolved in the English subcontinent. In the Indian subcontinent, we had a similar counterpart in the infamous banditry, also called dacoity. The spelling is anglicized version of the Hindi word daku or dacoit. Banditry is a criminal activity involving robbery by groups of armed bandits. Areas with ravines of forest such as Chambal and Chilapata forest were once famously known for dacoits. The dacoity have had a large impact in the Bhind and Morena of Chambal region in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan in north-central India. The exact reasons for the emergence of dacoity in the Chambal Valley have been disputed. Most explanations have suggested feudal exploitation as the cause that provoked many people in this region to take on arms. The area was also underdeveloped and poor, so banditry posed great economic incentives. Furthermore, traditional honor codes and blood feuds would drive some into this kind of criminality. In Chambal, India, organized crime controlled much of the countryside from the time of the British Raj up to the early 2000s, with the police offering high rewards for the most notorious bandit chiefs. The criminals regularly targeted local businesses, though they preferred to kidnap wealthy people and demand ransom from their relatives, cutting off fingers, noses, and ears to pressure them into paying high sums. Many dacoity also posed as social bandits toward the local poor, paying medical bills and funding weddings. Following intense anti-banditry campaigns by the Indian police, highway robbery was almost completely eradicated in the early 2000s. Some of the notable Indian dacoits included Chaviram Singh Yadav, Gabbar Singh Gujjar, who inspired the famous 1975 film Sholay based on his life, Man Singh, who was a notorious dacoit of the Rathore clan of Rajputs, also known as the Lion of Chambal, Malkhan Singh Rajput, a notorious bandit known as the Daku Man Singh, and who also had political aspirations to become in MP. Malangi, Kallu Yadav or Kalua, also known as Katri King. Mohar Singh Gurjar, Nirbhay Singh Gurjar, who was also known as Daket Raj or King of the Dacoits of Chambal. Nizam Lohar, a dacoit born into a Punjabi Muslim family during the Sikh Empire, also known for his rebellion and freedom struggle against the British colonial government. Pan Singh Tomar, a former soldier in the Indian Army, an athlete that represented India in the Asian Games and later resorted to becoming a baghi due to the injustices he faced, also inspired the Bollywood film Pan Singh Tomar, in which he was played by Irfan Khan. Phulan Devi, known as Bandit Queen, there was a movie made for her too. She was a lady bandit who initially rebelled against her rape and injustice her community subjected her to. And then Shiv Kumar Patel Dadwa, Coos Munuswamy Virappan, who was a notorious dacoit, poacher, and smuggler in South India, responsible for poaching approximately 500 to 2,000 elephants, killing them for smuggling ivory worth almost 2.6 million US dollars and about 65 tons of sandalwood worth approximately 22 million US dollars. So, all that brief context to kind of grab the essence of this word Rahzani, or of this concept of Rahzan, a highway robber. Now, keeping in mind that background context into Rahzani or highway robbery, it is clear that this is a very specific type of crime, ranked much higher in its criminality, modus operandi, and penalty when compared to the regular chori, which is the common low-level pickpocketing, burglary, and stealing. A common thief tends to usually steal on the sly, taking advantage of the victim being unaware of the thief's presence and intention. However, a highway robber or a daku or a dacoit or a bandit, on the other hand, seems to have a very confrontational, face-to-face approach where the victim is usually fully aware of the life-threatening presence of this robber or dacoit. These differentiating characteristics between robbery and stealing is what Ghalib captures in the first line. And he does so to describe a certain heart-stealing event between two people. Though it may sound strange, it's amazing to see the maestro Ghalib paint a picture with two main colors. Number one, highway robbery, and number two, stealing of hearts. He paints with these two colors on the same canvas. And like we always say at DGMZ, right? For Ghalib, nothing was off limits, right? He did not wait to pick something blue if he was talking about the sky, or pick something green when he was talking about grass. He was very comfortable picking up something green and talk about the sky, or picking up something blue and talk about the grass. He did not let definitions ever stop him. As Urdu poetry fans, we know that the coveted commodity, which is under continuous threat of being robbed or stolen, is the lover's prized possession, his heart. And we also know that the beloved has a notorious reputation of being that person who will always try to steal or rob this coveted commodity. Ghalib in the first line asks a question, which is either directly or indirectly addressed to the beloved. And the question is this a full-fledged highway robbery of my heart, or just mere stealing of my heart? Stealing heart in the world of love is no criminal offense. In fact, it's a gesture typical of young initial stages of love. And though it may start as stealing of a heart, it usually will culminate in the exchange of giving hearts and taking hearts between the lovers. The question in the first line is cleverly crafted by Ghalib to draw attention to the fact that this is not what was happening in this couplet. In this couplet, Ghalib is not talking about the usual innocent stealing and exchanging of hearts. Ghalib brings to attention the extreme circumstances of the looting, plundering, and ravaging of him under the pretext of merely stealing his heart. बेजाद लखनवी का ये शेर, महर के पर्दे में पूरी दिल सितानी हो चुकी, महर के पर्दे में पूरी दिल सितानी हो चुकी, बंदा परवर रहम कीजिए, मेहरबानी हो चुकी. Beautiful couplet, just beautiful, gels so well with the concept of our Ghalib couplet today. The approximate translation is, under the veil, under the camouflage of kindness, the heart has been stolen completely and fully. Oh blessed one, oh dear one, enough of your blessings, enough of your kindness, you have done enough. Please stop operating under this camouflage of meher, which is kindness, and steal me or rob me of my prized possession. Stop doing that. जौहर दियोबंदी का शेर, जिंदगी जिससे की हो ज़ेरो ज़बर, वो निगाह दिल सितानी और है. The approximate translation is, that thing that is going to totally disrupt your life, it will totally throw your life in a chaos, in a commotion, that will turn your life upside down. That thing, and in the second line we know what that thing is, that glance that steals your heart and totally disrupts your life, throws your life out for a toss. That glance, that heart-stealing glance is in a league of its own. Right? So yes, heart-stealing happens, but then there is this type of heart-stealing, and then there is that type of heart-stealing, right? The way it is done, the intensity at which it is done differs. And again, Ghalib is also trying to bring out that differentiation in today's couplet also. Alright, so that takes care of Rahzani hai ki Dil-Sitaani hai. Let's move on to the second line. Leke dil Dil-Sitaan Rawanaa hua. Having taken the heart, the thief took off. Right? The thief took off. As we saw, there is a question posed by Ghalib in the first line. Is this highway robbery or is it stealing of the heart? In the second line, Ghalib answers the question when he elaborates how the robber, the dacoit, by extension the beloved, descended on Ghalib, the lover, suddenly looted him, plundered him, robbed him of his heart, his most precious thing, and then took off with the loot, almost instantly disappearing into a dust storm. फिगार उन नबी का ये शेर, सरे महफिल हमारे दिल को लूटा चश्मे साकी ने, सरे महफिल हमारे दिल को लूटा चश्मे साकी ने, उधर तकदीर गर्दिश में, इधर गर्दिश में जाम आया. So the approximate translation is, in a full-fledged gathering, right? In a full-fledged gathering, the cupbearer robbed me by its beautiful eyes, or her beautiful eyes. In a full-fledged gathering, I was robbed, in open daylight, so to speak, right? By the cupbearer as she used her glances on me. And once this happened, my destiny, my fate was sent into a spin, just the way the wine in the goblet was sent into a spin. So both my destiny and the wine started spinning of their own accord, thanks to this theft that happened openly in a full-fledged gathering by the cupbearer and her eyes. इकबाल उमर का ये शेर, मताए होश खो बैठे, मताए दिल लुटा बैठे, हम उनके पास आ बैठे कि उनसे दूर जा बैठे. Beautiful couplet. The approximate translation is, I lost all my awareness and consciousness. I lost all my heart, So all these prized possessions of consciousness, awareness, heart, everything was robbed. Everything was looted. As soon as I went and sat beside her, it almost seems that I went and sat away from her. Now, once again, in this second line, right, once the second line comes into play, we see the contrast that Ghalib is trying to create or trying to detail start becoming clearer. The contrast is between the usual way of lovers stealing each other's heart as a gesture of affectionate exchange, vis-a-vis the beloved robbing and looting the lover's heart and taking off with the loot, leaving no trace behind. मानी जैसी का ये शेर, राह वफा में लूटा गया दिल, हाय हाय मेरा दिल, बेकस मेरा दिल. The approximate translation is on the road of faithfulness, on the road of loyalty, right? My heart was robbed. My heart was plundered. My heart was looted. My heart, my poor heart. So a great visualization of that highway robbery that we are seeing in today's couplet, right? That while the heart is traveling sincerely on the path of faithfulness, on the path of loyalty, how it is looted, how it is plundered, how it is ravaged again and again, right? That is a pity. That is a crime, right? The crafting of the couplet from today by Ghalib is done in such a way that it captures the unique characteristics of a typical highway robber. The characteristics of suddenness, surprise, speed with which they operate. They arriving out of nowhere, looting their victim, and then almost disappearing instantly in a dust storm. All in a brief, intense flash of activity, leaving behind nothing else other than plunder and ravage and loss and emptiness. जिगर जलंधरी का ये शेर, दिल लुटा कर जिगर हमारी तरह कोई बेआसरा ना हो जाए. Approximate translation is, after having their heart looted, just like me, Jigar, and the poet is referring to himself, I wish nobody ever becomes homeless, baseless, right? Totally lost, like me. So again, that same concept of you are robbed, you are plundered, you are ravaged in such a way, nothing is left. Nothing is left. You suddenly become a homeless, helpless wanderer. So that kind of brings us to the end of the second line. Leke dil dil-sitaan rawanaa hua. Now let's step back and take a moment to appreciate this couplet in totality. In DGMZ's humble opinion, there are two main themes in this couplet that grab your attention. Number one, Ghalib details one of many ways the beloved steals the lover's heart. In today's couplet, Ghalib details the approach, which is sudden, quick, surprising, almost robbery style, where the lover's heart is looted by the beloved, and then there is a swift departure of the beloved with her loot. कैफी हैदराबादी का ये शेर, दिल लेने के अंदाज भी कुछ सीख गया हूँ, सोबत में हसीनों की बहुत रोज रहा हूँ. The approximate translation is, I have learnt a few ways of taking hearts. After all, I have lived in the company of the beautiful ones for quite a few days. So it's just another way of stealing hearts. There are many ways the beloved will steal the lover's heart. This is one of the notorious ones. The second theme that we think this couplet brings out is probably even more stronger and more critical to the theme of the couplet. This is where Ghalib highlights how the stealing of his heart was not the usual innocent stealing of heart, followed by the beloved staying back, probably interacting with the lover. This time, in today's couplet, Ghalib paints a picture where the beloved loots the heart and takes off. And this probably is the biggest complaint of the lover. Why did the robber loot me of my heart and then take off so quickly? Why did they not stay back? Why did they not stay back and gloat on their loot and plunder? Why did they not interact with me? For the price of my most precious thing, my heart, I should have gotten some moments of interaction with the one that robbed my heart. Even if this interaction was gloating by the robber or torturing by the robber, I should have had some time with the robber of my heart. The minimum a lover wants in exchange of the most precious possession, his heart, is to be able to connect and interact with the beloved. For him, this is a fair deal. अली मंजूर हैदराबादी का ये शेर, मंजूर उसे दिल देना, दिल दे के खलिश लेना, ये भी कोई हसरत है, ये भी कोई अरमान है. The approximate translation is, Manzoor, and the poet is referring to himself, giving her your heart and in return taking pain from her. What kind of desire is this? What kind of wish is this? By extension, this is the exact wish, where the lover wants his heart to be taken by the beloved and in return will willingly take the pain that she is going to afflict on him. जिला मुरादाबादी का ये शेर, सब कुछ लुटा के राहे मोहब्बत में अहले दिल खुश हैं कि जैसे दौलते कौनैन पा गए. The approximate translation is, after losing everything on their path to love, by extension after being looted and robbed of everything on their path to love, these people called lovers seem to be happy as if they have gained the biggest treasure of the universe. The more they are looted, the more they are plundered on their path to love, the more happy they seem to be, as if they are gaining treasures on their path to love. This quick, speedy exit of the robber after the robbery was the unfairness that Ghalib wants to highlight. This is the exact reason why Ghalib says in the couplet that I cannot call this innocent stealing of my heart. This was a full-fledged highway robbery, because the beloved did not behave like a beloved, stealing the heart of a lover with her graces and coquetry. The beloved in this instance behaved like a highway robber. This is Ghalib's own unique style of detailing the absence of sensitivity, the absence of fair exchange of hearts between him and the beloved. The beloved did not do a fair give and take. She has, in fact, taken all, given nothing, and took off. The wisdom and patience of the lover stands in stark contrast with the ignorance and unfairness of the beloved in this couplet. And no one, absolutely no one, can craft and set up this contrast the way Ghalib has done in today's couplet. Nushur Wahidi ka ye sher, Ishq ek karwane agahi. Beautiful couplet. Ishq ek karwane agahi, husn ek bekhabar lutera hai. The approximate translation is, love is that caravan of the enlightened ones, the wise ones, right? Love is the caravan of the enlightened and wise ones. Beauty, on the other hand, is an unaware, uninformed, ignorant robber, bandit. Just that contrast, right? So Ghalib draws this contrast, but we do think this couplet also does a fantastic job of that. And then the last one from Arzu Laknavi. वफा तुमसे करेंगे, दुख सहेंगे, नाज उठाएंगे, जिसे आता है दिल देना उसे हर काम आता है. The approximate translation is, we will be loyal to you. We will bear all the pains and tortures and torments, and we will always align, right? Always align with your temperament, always align with your wishes and demands. People who know how to give away heart know anything and everything. By extension, people who give away their heart, people who fall in love, are people who possess the knowledge and the perseverance to do anything and everything, be it being loyal, be it bearing the grief and pain, or be it fulfilling the wishes and desires of the other person. So that brings us to the end of the impression. Now, during our research, especially on the word Rahzan, we came across a beautiful poem, and we thought it will be a befitting poem to end the episode with. The poem is closely interlinked to the concept of Rahzan and Rahzani that is at the core of today's couplet. So, allow us a few minutes while we narrate this to you. The Highwayman is a romantic ballad and narrative poem written by Alfred Noyes, first published in August 1906 issue of Blackwood's magazine, based in Edinburgh, Scotland. The following year, it was included in Noyes' collection 40 Singing Seamen and Other Poems, becoming an immediate success. In 1995, it was voted 15th in the BBC's poll for the nation's favorite poem. Nation's favorite poems. The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes. The wind was a torrent of darkness among the gusty trees. The moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, and the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. He had a French cocked hat on his forehead, a bunch of lace at his chin, a coat of the claret velvet, and breeches of brown doeskin. They fitted with never a wrinkle. His boots were up to the thigh, and he rode with a jewelled twinkle, his pistol butts a twinkle, his rapier hilt a twinkle under the jewelled sky. Over the cobbles he clattered and clashed in the dark inn yard. He tapped with his whip on the shutters, but all was locked and barred. He whistled a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. And dark in the dark old inn yard, a stable wicket creaked, where Tim, the ostler, listened. His face was white and peaked. His eyes were hollows of madness, his hair like mouldy hay, but he loved the landlord's daughter, the landlord's red-lipped daughter, Dumb as a dog, he listened, and he heard the robbers say, "One kiss, my bonny sweetheart. I'm after a prize tonight, but I shall be back with the yellow gold before the morning light. Yet, if they press me sharply and harry me through the day, then look for me by moonlight. Watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." He rose upright in the stirrups. He scarce could reach her hand, but she loosened her hair in the casement. His face burnt like a brand as the black cascade of perfume came tumbling over his breast, and he kissed its waves in the moonlight. Oh, sweet black waves in the moonlight. Then he tugged at his rein in the moonlight and galloped away to the west. He did not come in the dawning. He did not come at noon, and out of the tawny sunset, before the rise of the moon, when the road was a gypsy's ribbon, looping the purple moor, a red coat troop came marching, marching, marching. King George's men came marching up to the old inn door. They said no word to the landlord. They drank his ale instead. But they gagged his daughter and bound her to the foot of her narrow bed. Two of them knelt at her casement with muskets at their side. There was death at every window and hell at one dark window, for Bess could see through her casement the road that he would ride. They had tied her up to attention with many a sniggering jest. They had bound a musket beside her with the muzzle beneath her breast. Now keep good watch, and they kissed her. She heard the doomed man say, "Look for me by moonlight, watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." She twisted her hands behind her, but all the knots held good. She writhed her hands till her fingers were wet with sweat or blood. They stretched and strained in the darkness, and the hours crawled by like years, till now on the stroke of midnight, cold on the stroke of midnight, the tip of one finger touched it. The trigger, at least, was hers. The tip of one finger touched it. She strove no more for the rest. Up, she stood up to attention, with the muzzle beneath her breast. She would not risk their hearing. She would not strive again. For the road lay bare in the moonlight, blank and bare in the moonlight, and the blood of her veins in the moonlight throbbed to her love's refrain. Had they heard it, the horse hoofs ringing clear? In the distance, were they deaf that they did not hear? Down the ribbon of the moonlight, over the brow of the hill, the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The red coats looked to their priming. She stood up, straight and still. In the frosty silence, in the echoing night, nearer he came and nearer. Her face was like a light. Her eyes grew wide for a moment. She drew one last deep breath. Then her finger moved in the moonlight. Her musket shattered the moonlight, shattered her breast in the moonlight, and warned him with her death. He turned, he spurred to the west. He did not know who stood, bowed with her head over the musket, drenched with her own blood. Not till the dawn he heard it, and his face grew grey to hear how Bess, the landlord's daughter, the landlord's black-eyed daughter, had watched for her love in the moonlight and died in the darkness there. Back he spurred like a madman, shrieking a curse to the sky, with the white road smoking behind him and his rapier brandished high. Blood red were his spurs in the golden noon, wine red was his velvet coat, when they shot him down on the highway, down like a dog on the highway, and he lay in his blood on the highway with a bunch of lace at his throat. And still of a winter's night they say, when the wind is in the trees, when the moon is a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas, when the road is a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, a highwayman comes riding, riding, riding. A highwayman comes riding up to the old inn door. Over the cobbles he clatters and clangs in the dark inn yard. He taps with his whip on the shutters, but all is locked and barred. He whistles a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. We hope you enjoyed that poem. That's a lovely, famous poem. Probably you've heard it before, but we thought it was a great way to end another great couplet from Ghalib. Now, we will be keen to hear your feedback. Do share it via comments, and for all the new viewers, a strong recommendation to access the episode titled Introduction to DGMC, because that will give you a good insight into the motivation, the inspiration behind this podcast. For our regular viewers, we encourage you to visit the homepage of the channel. We are constantly updating and creating playlists segregated via topics. Surf through them and pick an episode that interests you. Now I'm going to end this episode by sending a lot of love and light to all you dear viewers, and thanks for watching.